Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
We'll give it a minute or two here. I think people are still coming on. I still have, well, it just turned 13:30. And maybe we'll go ahead and start. It's 13:30 now. Good afternoon. My name is Rob Coppert, and I'll be kind of chairing or at least running the meeting this afternoon for the Technology Committee. Patrick Updike is unfortunately unavailable. His job responsibilities were a little pressing today that he needed to actually do real work than this. So not that this isn't real work, that's for sure, but we all know how those real job constraints can impact us. First of all, let's run through the list here that I've got, and we'll see who's all on the phone. Craig Allen, are you online? Wally, I heard you, right?
Yep, I'm here, sir.
All righty. Dwayne Hendrickson? Eric Nevins? Leon Frederick? Jason Studi? I know Kip was going to be off. He's working with the flood thing. Clint, are you on?
I am here.
All righty. You must be ISU Forester, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. You didn't have your name on here, but I kind of made the general assumption. Let's see here. Tom Lampy, are you online? Mark Van Hooser?
I'm here.
Hey, Mark, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Oh, pretty good. Trying to get over head cold, chest cold, and any other cold I've got. Stephen Ray, are you online? Helen Troyanovich, are you online? And did I miss anybody?
Andy Buffington is here.
Oh, hi, Andy. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine as frog's fur today.
Fine as frog's fur. Well, I'll have to remember that because I don't know if I'm that fine. Anybody else on?
Sean Olson.
Oh, hi, Sean. How are you doing today?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
Well, pretty good. How's things up in the God's country?
Well, it's sunny here today. I'm pretty happy.
It's cloudy here. What the heck? Some of that sunshine and some ice cream down, will you?
That would be good.
Anybody else online?
Eric Nevins here.
Oh, hi, Eric. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
And anybody else that I didn't catch? All right. Well, we have a fairly quiet agenda today, and last month we had a fairly quiet agenda and ended up having a 2-hour meeting, so let's not try to do that again, huh? But first of all, on the agenda that Patrick passed out was the ISICSB P25 fleet mapping update. And as I recall, Rob Dennert, who was not going to be able to be on the conference call this afternoon, did actually give us a little bit of an update, and I think that went out to everybody on the list, that the ISU Fleet Map Framework and Radio ID Scheme are both essentially complete, and he's producing a single sheet handout to socialize that information with the other committees. Andy, is the users group working on that, or who's kind of really heading up on doing the fleet map work?
Yeah, the user group committee, that's been on our plate for actually a few months now, with Dallas County being the first accepted ISICS applicant, if you will, or soon-to-be user, it was imperative that we get something out there. And so really what we did is that we kind of went back through the spreadsheet, and you may or may not have seen it before, that Rob had put together. There's been some tweaks and some changes. There was a ton of questions that we had at our meeting last week, concerns as well as far as, how we socialize it. And so it really, Rob and I talked earlier this week and thought it was probably best that he's got a very good product. And at the end of the day, we believe, and we strongly believe, that as far as device IDs and talk group allocations and everything else, that we're going to be just really in the clear throughout. So as we move forward, we're going to be essentially putting out a document that says there's plenty for everybody, and obviously we're not just going to say that, okay, Cass County, you guys get 9, or whatever. So, but there is going to be, based on requested allocations, like if Cass County says, hey, I need 195 individual talk groups, we might back up and say, hey, wait a minute, why? Show that to us. But then if you come back in and say, hey, I need 60, and it fits within our framework, absolutely. How many unique user IDs do you need? I need 750 or 600 or whatever it happens to be. That's whether it is or is not a problem. If it fits in the framework, then obviously we work the issue as well. We might ask people to justify those things as they come on. So we're pretty confident that moving forward, we're going to have a pretty good product, and that's going to help. That's going to help Dallas County. Right now, there's 3 other applicants currently for access. They're putting their information together, and so we're learning as we go.
Okay. I saw Rob's template or spreadsheet and kind of his figuration, or I guess the way he figured out how many talk groups, how many IDs per county, per city, that sort of thing. And it looked to be, well, it probably needed some tweaking here and there, but it looked to be a rather thorough document. So I'm pretty glad that he was able to assist you guys with that. And of course, with him having a trunk system, that's always nice to have that background with him too. So very good. Do you have any idea when that might be? That information might be brought out to the rest of the committees?
Rob's working on it right now. As soon as he gets it, I'm going to make sure that technology operations, obviously UGC has seen it, as well as governance, everybody has a chance to kind of take a look at it, ask questions, and we'll just continue to refine the process. But I don't have a date at this time.
Okay. And this probably would be a good time to bring up that the DDR optimization meeting is going to be held October 11th and 12th, and that's going to be at the Orr and Pape building, as I understand it, from 9 until 4 each day in downtown Des Moines. And I know that Curtis, you're going. Wally. I don't know why I keep calling you Curtis. It's written down Curtis. I'm sorry, Wally.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I answered either one.
Yeah, and Stephen Ray's going. I'm thinking about going to go. It's kind of 2 days that I really don't have available, but I think that I need to go as far as information on the ISICSB system and on behalf of the technology committee. So if there's any other people on the technology committee that are interested in going to that, let Patrick Updike know that you're interested in going. And then again, that's October 11th and 12th from 9 until 4 each day at the Orr and Pape building, which is the DPS building there just to the southwest of the Capitol in Des Moines. So let Patrick know if you're interested in going to that. Anything else on this topic while we have it up on the fleet mapping and P25 fleet mapping stuff? Okay, very good. Next thing on the agenda is interoperability channels and the NIFOG, IFOG updates. And last month we had a pretty lengthy discussion with regards to the interoperability channels and I'm referring to those channels of the B calls, the E calls, 7 calls, A calls, and then the various tactical channels that are for VHF, UHF, 7 and 800 megahertz. And I know that, and it's probably a continuing thing with the floods in northeast Iowa, but Kip Ladegi brought up an issue last month that there was some issues having these channels in a lot of the departments that are up there, or basically really throughout Iowa, that they're not really, I guess, required to be in radios, and that was the basis for a large amount of the conversation, is that the policy that came out, and that was effective January 1 of 2014, and it's policy ISICSB 12-B, says that if you have VHF or whatever, you should have the following channels in your radios. And there was discussion of whether that should be a shall to require that, and then how to enforce that requirement. Is there any discussion, any thoughts on this?
This is Dwayne from...
Yes, Dwayne? Or did he just accidentally drop off?
Yeah, I heard a disconnect, and I thought I missed something, but apparently not.
Okay, yeah, I heard him say this is Dwayne and then a disconnect. I don't know if he was picking up the phone and accidentally disconnected. We'll wait for him here in a second.
Hey, Rob, this is Andy again.
Yeah.
Speaking to that, I think that there is some difficulty, and Kip is absolutely right. There is some of these legacy systems are saying that no, we don't necessarily want to. You can't force us to do this, and whether I tend to agree or disagree, I guess I'm on the fence with that. I guess that is also one of the beauties of the ISICS, this platform that we're creating, that those people that wish to get on are going to be required to have interoperability channels in certain positions in their fleet map and their talk groups, so that there's going to be these interoperability talk groups, whether it's regional, state, national, however that's actually going to work. That's one of the things that through technology again, and user group committee, we need to come up with some sort of resolution. But that's going to be one of the caveats for joining ISICS, is that it's a you shall. If you're just looking for interoperability talk groups, here they are. This is what they are, and there's really not a whole lot of discussion when it comes right down to it, I guess.
Okay, that's my take. That's good to know. And yeah, I'm kind of on the fence on it too a little bit. But you being an emergency management coordinator, me being a former EMA, and Kip being a EMA coordinator, I can see the logic behind it. But it's how you actually enforce something like that. I would like to see that. Obviously, in a perfect world, everybody has those in there. But this isn't obviously that. Is Dwayne on?
Yes, my phone tends to be cutting me off.
Yeah, we noticed that, Dwayne. You said, hi, this is Dwayne, and click, you were gone. But go ahead with your thought there.
My thought was that we've had drills lately, and this happened a couple of years ago, where the participants did not have things like mutual aid or other frequencies on their radios that would work in a massive or a bigger drill. And 2 years later, we still have the problem. So I don't know if Shell might be there so we can get this thing accomplished a little better. And that's on the VHF channels.
Right, and I would, obviously tend to agree with you. When we got a fire grant or grant from FEMA for communications when we narrowbanded, and we programmed an bank in all of the radios with all of these channels in there that we could, so that all of my fire departments, all of my fire apparatus and squad cars and whatever has this stuff. So it's not an issue for us, but it's how do you go and tell the smaller counties like I don't know, whatever, Ringgold County, that you need to be putting these in your radio, and it's going to cost you, whatever your vendor charges you per radio to program. I mean, how do we enforce that?
This is Wally. A couple comments. First of all, obviously, there's interop channels that would be, in my opinion, are separate from interop talk groups. So that may be another. I'm not trying to muddy the waters, but I mean, if you buy, let's say you have a 700, 800 megahertz capable radio only, and it's going on the state system. Sure, I agree. There needs to be interop groups in there, but you also mandate that the non-trunking NIFOG channels are also loaded. And my opinion is yes. I guess you could. The only enforcement vehicle that I would know of is anything, any grant funding or maybe even endorsement of support. Hey, you got to have this stuff in there. Whether it's a VHF radio, a UHF radio, or a 7-800, you could have UHF for whatever reason, and it's not part of the state system, but you still want them to have the UHF channels in. I mean, you're only going to be able to enforce it so far, because who's going to drive around and look at everybody's radio to make sure that it's in there? You could say, hey, submit a copy of your template or your channel layout, which demonstrates that you've met the requirements, and we'll give you a letter of endorsement for whatever your grant is or whatever the need may be. The bottom line is enforcement, like anything in society, you got two methods. You've got take-away privileges for noncompliance or hinge funding on compliance. Otherwise, I don't know how else you do it.
Right, and I don't see the ISICSB board is not providing funding. And obviously, with the information we received from Jim Lundestead last month, that there really isn't a whole lot of grant funding options out there for this, which I think is kind of actually a travesty. Really, they provide funding for a lot of other things and as far as I'm concerned, communications is the biggest thing in disaster response. If you don't have it, you're not going to have a good response to that disaster. So I'm kind of on the fence on both things here, but I think that they should strongly be in there, and maybe changing this to you shall, even though we can't, or recommending that it should be changed to you shall, even though we can't enforce it. Maybe that would, I don't know, do some good some places throughout the state. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I agree with Wally that, without some sort of carrot, it's really hard to get compliance. But I do agree that it might be working with Homeland and the 911 Council to sit there and say, hey, before we approve these applications, can there be some sort of that everybody has these interoperable VHF channels programmed in, that there's some sort of certification, kind of just another thing, because let's face it, 911 is paying for a whole lot of stuff and will continue to pay for a whole lot of stuff when it comes down to some of the local uses. So maybe Director Scouten and or Blake and or the 911 Council would support making that an additional requirement for any of the grant money that they have. Other than that, there just isn't funding available, which is difficult to swallow. I agree with you. And
could you, Wally brought up this point, the difference between the interoperability talk groups and the interoperability channels like the VCall, the VTAX, you call UTAX, that sort of thing. Does the ISICS or is the ISICS fleet map, for those that have maybe just a 700 or 800 megahertz radio that's going to be, or a 700 megahertz radio that's just going to be just on the ISICS, are there are there ways to get to and use the V channels or the U channels through the ISIC system if you only have a single band radio?
Go ahead.
I know of.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine there would be.
Okay.
I mean, you can put control stations and base stations on the system and produce a group that's like, I call it Wally's term, a perma patch to another resource. But that's really that's nice, and it's a great option. And you want to know where those exist and their coverage area that they exist. We have them on our system, but really it comes down to the conventional channels for whatever band of radio you possess. There's conventional interop channels for every band of radio, VHF-I, UHF, 7 and 800 megahertz that are outlined in the NIFOGs that are available to public safety. Irrespective of whether you're on a trunking system or you're on a conventional system, there's no reason why you can't have both in there, assuming your radio has enough space. I mean, you wouldn't want to sacrifice something functional if you had some restriction. But any new radios that are produced now generally will hold plenty of channels or talk groups. But channels work where talk groups do not. That can be because you drove out of the footprint of your system. That could be because you walked into a building that is heavy construction that your system doesn't cover. And you're going to have those. It doesn't matter if it's next door to your tower or where. You're going to have those. It's nice to have a conventional option. Or if you end up very quickly due to, say, flooding or something, pack up and go somewhere, you may drive out of the umbrella of your trunking system where your trunking talk groups don't work, but at least you got something in the radio that somebody can work with when you pull up on scene to try to help. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of having all our radios have everything in them that they're capable of. Our single band radios only have the band that is supported, but the multi-band equipment has everything. So, I mean, that's just my take on it.
Okay. And certainly I think that both Blake and the 911 communications console, I think that they would be probably willing or at least open to discuss the requirement for, because they've already done this with radios, that any radios bought through with wireless funding through the grant application process, which was last year. I mean, this year's a consolidation grant, so it's a different story. But if that were to come back, where you could purchase mobiles and portables with carryover grant funding, then I think that the communications console would be receptive to adding the requirements that not only these radios be P25 capable or software upgradable so they do P25, but that they also should contain or be programmed with whatever band of the channels, whether the calls and attack channels for that particular band for the conventional interoperability channels. Because you're right, a trunk system is good, but you fall out of the umbrella or that trunk system goes down, you're back to conventional. And that's you got to be prepared for that. You can't rest your you can't put all your eggs in one basket on a trunk system. So any other thoughts, I guess, on this?
I kind of like Wally's comment about even if we don't control money, we can withhold a letter of support, whatever certification, whatever it might be, for someone applying for a grant.
Yeah.
They don't have certification. That at least is some sort of a stick that we've got. But anyone who's got the money, because we don't, to give out as grants for communications, I don't know why they wouldn't fully support a requirement that everything has to be brought into the current standards. And I think we have to establish the current standards that they can then use to enforce.
I would agree. Anything else?
I can say that since Jim shot us down, Patrick and I kind of bounced around the idea of non-governmental grants, like the Walmarts and different groups around, and haven't really gone far with it, but I think we're going to entertain that concept at some point of trying to track down an alternative grant source to do what we wanted to do, which is have a grant, get a big grant for the board that could provide little mini grants out to the different agencies to get the radios reprogrammed. And if we can do it that right way, we ought to be able to, economies of scale, get a deal with the Raycoms and electronic engineerings of the world to say, you normally charge $50 a radio, will you do it for 40 if we'll give you 100? So just ideas we've had, but we haven't gone anywhere with it yet.
Okay. And there are a lot of those grant opportunities out there, like the Walmart. Alliant Energy has a grant program, Mid-American. I know that these are regional, but a lot of places that have the casinos have grant opportunities through the casinos or the foundations that the casinos have to give up a certain amount of money to a foundation to provide granting, and I know that those are more regional than they are statewide, but it is probably maybe another option.
It's good PR to be able to say we're going to help save lives across the state of Iowa.
Yeah, and I could see, Mid-American or Alliant jumping on board, Walmart jumping on board. Walmart gives quite a bit of money locally. You go into Walmart and you see the right there where you check out or walk out there, it says how much money they've given in grants locally and to whom, and it's a fairly substantial amount of money. I think that that's something that probably needs to be explored. I don't know if that's a technology committee thing or if that's a multiple committee thing, but I think that that's something that really needs to be explored too. Any other thoughts or comments on the interop channels? Okay, what about this? Any thoughts about making a recommendation to the full ISICSB board to update this policy that was released in January 1 of 2014, since it's 2.5 years old, to change the should to a shall, even though we don't have any enforcement?
You could give it a shot. It's kind of like I guess not a cop, never been a cop, but let's say if you got 2,000 protesters and you're trying to get them to disperse, you're going to yell at them to disperse, and really it's that about 500 milliseconds of being a human, whether they're going to disperse and do what you ask or they're going to drive over you, right? So you could start by just changing the verbiage and asking really nicely, and then see what enforcement method needs used going down the road, knowing that your hands are somewhat limited. But sometimes people will help you out just because you ask nicely.
And I would agree. If it's there, it's kind of, we need to do this, and if it's not, then it gets ignored. Anybody else think that might be a good idea? Maybe we could pass that on to the full ISICSB board and see what they think.
This is Dwayne. I think that'd probably be a good way to go to keep this thing moving forward.
This is Helen. I think to bring to their attention, circling back to the original conversation we had about the Alzheimer's victim that was missing and that the radios weren't interoperable when there was multi-disciplines and multi-jurisdictions searching for this person. And that was the original situation that was brought to the Technology Committee's attention. And that, how do we bridge the gap? When we look on the federal level, the P6 grants stopped September 30th, 2012. So that was the Public Safety Interoperable Communications Grant Program that would do stuff like narrow banding. It would do stuff like program these radios. That grant stopped in 2012 and was replaced with these broadband grants, the FLIG-T grants and things of that nature. So we're pushing toward, the new LMR system. We're pushing toward the FirstNet. But these things aren't here yet. So we find ourselves needing to bridge a gap till we get there, right?
Exactly.
So how do we help our regions bridge this gap? And we don't have, as Jim said, we don't have federal money. So you guys are saying, hey, how about, these other grants? How do we help them? By changing a shall to a should, or should to a shall, rather. But just letting the board know that this issue's out there. It's a current interoperability issue that Iowa is facing right now, is the need to bridge a gap before all these towers go up. We don't have an answer right now.
Well, and
take their medicine because it's the best thing for them, right?
Medicine? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they need to learn. They're doing this for their own benefit of they'll be able to interoperable communicate with other agencies on their responses. They just don't want to take the medicine. We got to convince them that it's the right thing to do and to spend the money and go through the effort to get it done. And if we can help make it easier by offering some funds maybe, then I think we need to try. But ultimately it's them that are suffering. The users are the ones suffering, the agencies, by not having the interoperability.
Yeah, and and really, we're all kind of in this together, right? We're all in this together. It's us, right? It's including our grandma, right? We're all in this together. So it's for the good of the order to bring it to their attention is just to let them know it's happening and what can we brainstorm something together? I don't know. Maybe they'll have. I mean, the people that sit on the board represent every discipline. So maybe together we can come up with a solution.
I don't think anybody's arguing we want to do nothing. I think everybody's in agreement we want to change it to a shall and propose it.
Okay. Let's see what they say.
What about making it a requirement for anyone that's coming onto the system to automatically put those into their radios for in case something major happens or there's coverage issues? They would still have something to fall back on and won't give such a black eye to everything else.
Andy, can you?
Minimum in the MOA?
Yeah, they're going to be required. Speaking only from the trunked world, they're going to be required to add those talk groups, and I guess that would be an interesting piece to go ahead and say that, hey, if you're just going to use it for interoperability, and so you're going to have you're going to stay with your legacy VHF system, that you don't get your interoperability. We're not going to grant you access to ISICS unless you certify that you will have the appropriate interoperable channels for the legacy systems or VHF world.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood you, Andy. When you talked about earlier a requirement in the MOU that they have the interoperability channels, did you mean the interoperability talk groups or the?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be there's going to be required from, and again, if I think I'm definitely not the expert to speak on this, but from my understanding, that those people that are going to be using using ISICS, that you're required, especially interoperably, obviously, but you're going to be required to have these interoperable talk groups or interoperability talk groups, national, regional, state, whatever else. Again, that's work that the UGC needs to, and again with technology, needs to start putting some pretty serious work in.
could that also be expanded that the MOU to access the ISICs also require the conventional interop channels like the VHF, UHF ones or 7 and 800 ones?
That sounds like it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I know it's not on the ISIC system, but Wally's right. The radios that are out there, I mean, we used to have there used to be, for some reason, Motorola thought a long time ago that the most channels a cop could ever scan and listen to was 16, and that's why we've had 16-channel radios forever and ever and ever, and that's obviously changed in the last number of years. But when you can have 1,000 different channels and talk groups and stuff, I don't think it's an issue anymore. Is that something the user group can maybe look at adding to the MOU?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading it right now, just trying to see, because one of the first things it says under 6.2 is that ISICSB shall post the application requirements and criteria for acceptance, blah, blah, blah. These requirements and criteria are subject to change.
Well, I see a subject.
Might be something. Yeah, absolutely. That might be something through governance and UGC and technology that we just kind of all join forces and push the issue as far as we can to address those things that Kip brought forward.
Because quite honestly, and I'd like to see the whole state and every county utilize the ISIC system, but quite honestly, there's going to be quite a number that can't afford it and won't be able to, and they're going to be on their VHF legacy systems forever, but or as until money comes up. So this would help those that aren't going to ever aren't going to be able to get onto the system for a while or ever.
Agreed.
That change would definitely send a message that we're serious about getting those interoperable frequencies and channels into radios, whether they're on the system or not. It definitely sends a message to the agencies out in the state.
Yeah.
That's terrific, you guys.
Well, occasionally the technology committee does come up with something.
Yeah, especially when Copper's leading the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Don't compliment me. Send me money, or better that, something that will make me not have so many coughing fits from this cold that I've got.
I was trying to make up for Dennard's email.
Well, Dennard is. That's why he's 2 and I'm 1. If you ever notice that, I'm Rob 1, he's Rob 2. So he'll always be number 2.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic, I guess? I think we've had some very good discussions here, and I think that if Kip were online, I think he would be really happy with some of the discussions that we've had, Andy, with regards to maybe changing an MOU and let's making this a recommendation to change the should to a shall in the policy. So I think we've had some good conversation today.
Yeah, agreed. And I guess I can't speak for all of the user group committee, but I would find it surprising and ridiculous that that everyone wouldn't support that wholeheartedly.
Okay. That's good to know. Thanks. I guess that was the last of the, unless there's anything else on this. Any other discussions on this before we change it? Okay. I don't have any other agenda items that Patrick wanted to discuss, so I'll open the floor to anything. If anybody's got anything they'd like to bring forward to the Technology Committee, now's the time.
Here's where the wheels fall off the bus.
Okay, shut up, Wally.
I didn't even say anything.
I thought that was you. I was Clint. I'm sorry. My hearing is also affected from this cold, so I'm sorry.
No problem.
When in doubt, blame Wally.
Everyone else does.
Yeah. Anything else for open discussion, Clint? Did you actually have something, or?
No, I just had to point out the irony of our short meeting last time just kind of went long at this point. But no.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were 2 hours last.
And it was a good 2 hours. I mean, we covered a lot of territory.
Yeah, well, we covered a lot in 40 minutes so far, today, which is good.
Hey, did you guys talk about FirstNet yet?
That wasn't on the agenda, but certainly, what do you have, Helen?
Just that I asked because I came in about 5-10 minutes late. I've got on the I don't know if you guys ever go to the ISICSB Facebook page. I posted. We had that QPP, quality of service, priority and preemption. It was a meeting of the minds of the FEMA Region 7 met with FirstNet on August 16th, and Iowa hosted that in Osceola, and we recorded the meeting. I think you couldn't make it, Wally, because we took you somewhere else.
Yeah, no, they ISIC sent me to Orlando to that FPIC meeting.
Yeah. But we went ahead and recorded it, and we posted the recording, and you can download the PDF of the presentation that FirstNet gave. I posted it to Facebook, and I also put it on the website at our Iowa FirstNet. So all that's on our Facebook page and also on our website at ISICSB@iowa.gov. Got an Iowa FirstNet under. I think it's under Services. Yeah, Services, FirstNet Data, Iowa FirstNet. The PDF is there. It's QPP, Homeland Security Region 7 is the presentation, and then the video archive, which is also at our YouTube channel.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
If you guys are interested. Yep. That's all I got.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the group? I'll just go down the list, and if anybody has anything, just shout out. Clint, you have anything?
Well, the only thing I can remember we talked about last time was some way to access a list of the Comm-Ls by area, Com-Ts by area.
Oh, yeah.
I brought that up for a discussion point. I don't know if any progress has been made or if we need to refer that to someone.
You know, and Helen, I'm glad you're actually online now. Because part of my notes from the last time, I remember we talked about actually mapping the Comm-Ls, Com-Ts on CHASM and also updating the list that's online. How easy would that be to add the Comm-Ls, Com-Ts to CHASM?
You know, that I don't know. You know, I do the I add new people, like I do the.
I guess it would be treated as a mapped resource, like a interop box or something, maybe like that. I don't know how you would go ahead and do that other than that.
Hey, this Wally.
I don't think it would be that hard. But
I'm pretty sure Comm-Ls and Com-Ts are in CHASM, but because of keeping people's locations and personal information private, I believe the SWIC and or his or her designee are the only ones that have access to that.
So do you think I can just print do a report out of there, and that's how we get it onto the website?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if procedurally you can just do that. That's what I'm saying is I think because we make that announcement in the beginning of a Comm-L or Com-T class is that we have to give the students the option to opt out of CHASM if they don't want their personal information stored. And as part of that explanation is we explain that it's not open to the public and it's not open to all users. It's available only to the SWIC. So I don't know if procedurally you can go into CHASM as the SWIC or SWIC representative, spill the data, and then redistribute it on a web page without some kind of expressed written permission from the people's names for which you're spilling. I don't personally have an issue with it. I would want to use my agency address, not necessarily my home address, but I don't know. That's a question we may need to run through the CHASM folks.
Yeah, I guess as a Comm-L and Com-T myself.
County.
What was that, Clint? I'm sorry.
I guess just dumb it down by county and send it off to some sort of list. I mean, if the full access in CHASM, is there a way we can post a limited access? Or, I think what the issue is, when someone needs a Comm-L Com-T, they don't want to have to call the SWIC to figure out who they can get. That's the ultimate goal with what we're trying to go after. If they know where people are by county and contact info, that might be adequate.
I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but I think that's unfortunately I think that is the procedure, though, because of unless we wanted to do a voluntary registry where Comm-Ls and Com-Ts could separate from CHASM, could register themselves as hey, I'm willing to accept a phone call direct if it comes in question. And I'm not against that. I would put myself again. I'd put my agency address and my cell phone contact. I have no issue with that. But I don't know that I don't know that what you're asking for can just be handed over, I guess, without every person's name on there getting the opportunity to know that their data is being shared beyond the SWIC or the SWIC's designee.
Okay, well, here's an interesting thing, because the list of Comm-Ls and Com-Ts is on the ISICS website, and it looks like it was last updated May 5th of 2015, and it's got an L number. I'm assuming a Comm-L number that you're assigned. I guess I didn't realize there was one. Your first name, your last name, and your email, and also your credential date. So there's already something that is out there as far as
you're on it. Give me where you're at in the ISICS webpage, would you please?
Okay, just a second. Let me get back there. Yes, go under Services, Education and Training, and then scroll way down to the bottom. Under Training Resources, you'll see them credentialed as of May 5, 2015. There's a Comm-L and a Com-T list.
Yeah, I see that.
That's the first I've ever seen or anything.
And obviously, I'd rather have my information. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, they're obviously only got my work email on here, and I'm assuming they've only got everybody else's work email or whatever email they supplied when they enrolled. And I obviously don't mind having this, but this list could be updated, and it could be updated by, or sorted by county, or at least add the county name to the field. But, I certainly wouldn't mind having this information and maybe my work number on CHASM, because at least with CHASM you have to have login credentials to get into the information anyway. It's not like a public site where just anybody can get it.
Right. Yeah, this is interesting. I like I said, I don't have an issue with it personally, but I know that because the Comm-L and the Com-T program are federally sponsored by separate agencies, but nonetheless, their right to their protection of personal information, we have to give a disclosure to the students at the beginning where we give them an opportunity to opt out of CHASM and having their name and contact information loaded and available to the SWIC. And they're told, hey, listen, it's okay, you can opt out, but let us rest assured that this is not open to the general public. Now, the only thing I find interesting with this list, and obviously the list is dated a bit, those that are credentialed would have gone in front of a public, a public forum. It was an open meeting to get their credential. They'd have been in the minutes. That's neither here nor there. But a lot of these people that aren't credentialed, I'm wondering if they realize that this list is out here.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would assume probably not. And I think that it...
When we disconnect, I think I'm going to call. I'm going to give Tom Buckman a call. Tom's been doing. He's in his new role that he's doing with SAIC is instructing some of this stuff. He may be better up to speed. Maybe there's nothing wrong with this. I don't. And if there isn't, I agree. A list by county or location would be quite helpful. I'm not against what the original request was. What I'm simply cautioning on is like spilling data out of CHASM until we verify what we're allowed to do. It's my only concern.
Right. And I would say any list that is public or like this list that's on the ISICSB site right now should just contain credentialed Comm-Ls and Com-Ts, because there's a whole lot of people that took the class. I mean, I can see 4 or 5 that aren't even anywhere in the state anymore, or have anything to do with public safety anymore. So it's, I kind of wonder if, it should be just
to be a resource to people. What good are the non-credentialed Comm-Ls to them? Probably aren't much.
No, not really.
Yeah, I would agree. Not saying that they're not trained. Anybody can be a Comm-L technically by the way it's set up. But I agree. If you're calling somebody in because you have a real disaster, I mean, you would want to know whether they're credentialed or not and make an informed decision. I'll call Tom and let me see if he doesn't know. I bet you he would know who I should call. And maybe what I'll try to do is report back by the next conference call.
Okay. Is this something that should be brought up to the training committee as well, Helen, as far as this list and having this list publicized?
Well, yeah. I mean, Denise and Wally, you guys are chair and vice chair. However you guys want this handled, we can handle it however you want to handle it.
I mean, the real answer is I don't know the answers, but what I know is I see some things that cause me to ask some questions, and that's what I'm concerned with because of just in being one of the 2 instructors and teaching the course. We told people that their names and contact info would not be shared beyond the SWIC or his or her designee level if it's entered in CHASM. But additionally, they have an option if they want nothing entered in CHASM. They're still welcome to attend the class, receive all the certificates. None of their data would be entered. And so it's right in the intro slides. It's like slide number 4 or 5, and we're required to present that. And that was a 3-hour topic when I went for the Comm-L Train the Trainer. So in seeing this, that's why I'm saying it's. I don't know there's an issue, but I definitely there's some. I got to ask more questions to smarter people than me. That's for sure.
Yeah, because we can remove this from the website if you need it. And especially if it's not up to date.
Well, I can tell you right now it's not up to date because I see 3 people that have been credentialed, more than 3 actually, and I'm only looking at part of one page. but let's not react too quick. How about this? Let me. As soon as I hang up, I'm going to try to call Tom. Try to talk to Tom. As soon as I get an answer, how about I will email you, Helen, and then I will Carmen, Rob, since you're taking notes and hosting this meeting here or organizing it, and then we'll share with Denise as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
You guys can push. I don't have the full email list, but then you can push the findings out if you know that way everybody sees everything.
Okay. And speaking as a credential Comm-L and Com-T, just so you know, Wally, I don't mind having my name and my credential. It looks like that Comm-L Com-T number must be the class number because I see numerous ones that are identical to mine and yours and others. So that must be the class number that they took. But I don't have a personal problem with having, being credentialed, having my name, number, email, and work number and county or whatever other way you want to geographically separate these on there. I don't personally have a problem, and I don't think many of the ones that are credentialed, but I mean, there's a lot that in here that haven't been credentialed that I honestly don't see many of them that would be credentialed if they already haven't been.
Right.
There's.
I'm with you. If we had a voluntary registry, a list that we had on the site, I'm way good with that. I would sign up as well, and I would happily share with anyone and be willing to go wherever someone asks for help. That's no questions there, and I agree with you. I think the majority of them would. It's just simply this looks like a spill of a class roster, and that may not be the exactly what should be on here.
Okay.
Hey, Wally, as the training committee, you guys could consider just creating a one-page registration page to pass around.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that's the class and not necessarily the Comm-L credentialing. So maybe at the credentialing phase, there needs to be another layer of, would you like to be registered?
And that could be with their certificate. Obviously they hand it to them in person, but maybe that's a great suggestion. What if we had a one pager that goes with the certificate in the fine envelope that says, okay, hey, now that you're credentialed, here's the Iowa Voluntary Registry if you're interested in assisting.
Yep, and we can figure out the chasm piece to put in with it, wherever that ends up.
Right, because the roster will be in chasm unless people redact themselves from that. It's just heavily restricted as to who has access to it, and I would guess that's just in general that we live in a world where you have to be not just you lock your doors at home, but you have to be cautious of identity theft. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
All right. I think we've had a really good discussion on that. Any others want to talk about that a little bit? Okay. I think that was a pretty good discussion. Wally, did you have anything further for the group?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sean, did you have anything else?
Nope, that's it. Good for me.
Okay. Mark, did you have anything else for the Technology Committee today? Anything new? Or did he fall off the face of the earth like he normally does? You have to tell him I said that, Sean. Andy, do you have anything else?
I'm good.
Yes, you are. Eric Nevins, do you have anything else?
Nothing to add. I'm good.
Okay. Hey, Wally, I was going to ask you, you were in Orlando on the 16th?
That's affirmative, sir.
Oh, so were Eric and I. We were at the APCO meeting.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just in there. I came late on the 16th. I got there late. It was like 8:30 at night, and then we had a meeting on Wednesday, and then I was out of there at 5 a.m. on Thursday. So it was a zip in, zip out, like going to Wisconsin.
You're lucky you got out. What I did, before I did, I had a 2:00 flight on Thursday, and they were boarding us, and a thunderstorm came over the airport, and we got delayed for an hour and 15, and I missed my connection in Minneapolis, and it ended up being the only good thing I can say is thank God I was flying first class because I drank a lot of wine. Dwayne, do you have anything for the good of the group?
I have nothing.
All right, and Helen, anything additional or anything new?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. I think I went through the list for everybody. Did I miss anybody on the list? Okay, not hearing anything. I'll pass the notes on to Patrick, and so that he is aware of what we talked about. And I appreciate everybody's really good discussion today. And we took care of a whole bunch of information and got it done in an hour. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, everybody.